Hi, welcome back to a new season of KFFL football. Before we get into football though, gentlemen, real quick question for you, because for me it's still baseball season. What do you think? Some late season predictions as we head into the final month of the 2024 MLB season. What do you think?
About what? Who's going to
Just-
win? Brewers all the way, right? Right? Brewers all the way? No, I don't know. It's still wide open. Anybody can win that thing. I mean, you got to think the Dodgers are going to win, but the Yankees are going to be right up there. But
We can hope not.
you just got to get hot in the playoffs. That's all that happens.
Yeah, and there's divisions that are still close, right? The Dodgers are close with the Diamondbacks, and the Padres are both right there, and we've watched them choke season after season in the postseason. So who knows? Houston and Seattle are right into the AL West. They're right in the middle. Brewers got a big lead, but Yankees and if Baltimore could get hot again, that could be the end of that division.
Right.
But it's still anybody's game. And with the wild card, who knows? There's more teams involved with the wild card this year than last year, and you just don't know. I mean, it's only the White Sox that are out of it.
And the Rockies. The Rockies were eliminated yesterday.
Okay,
so,
and it's amazing to me that the White Sox are like 75 games under 500.
Right.
It's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
I know.
Yep. All right.
All right, we're going to talk football now?
Yes, we will talk football.
All right,
now.
great. Sounds good.
Before we get into looking at each of your divisions, just some quick thoughts, some post-draft impressions. The draft was almost a week ago.
Yep.
What do you think coming out of that draft before we get into some specifics?
Besides how slow it took?
Besides how slow it took.
I don't know. I was talking to John the other day, and Jerry too. It's like, man, this year's draft just took forever. I'm not sure why.
No, I'm not either. Everybody got one less position to fill. I don't know if it's people. So a couple of I have draft day notes actually.
Sure, do you? Okay.
I didn't know we were in top draft day, but let's talk draft day. I think there were times where we need to be a little more realistic in our opening bid. We can't start a Pat Mahomes at $2.50.
Right.
I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm saying if you know a guy's going to go for $15 or $20, $25, $30, we got to make sure we're more realistic with the opening bid. We got to start them up a little higher. And we had a lot of bids this year that went quarter by quarter. So I don't know. Maybe we say, look, until there's been five bids or 10 bids, you can't go up by a quarter. You got to go 50 cents.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you're right. It seemed like it just took a long
Really
time.
slow draft this year.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I thought it went well. I thought it went really good for the most part. And defenses and kickers prices were a little higher than I thought. But
I had the same note. The money spent on defense kicker combinations, when you do them individually, it was probably less than what they went for in this draft. So I don't know if the change in our rules to have it the same guy made a difference.
Right.
Do you think people look close at the combination of defense and kicker?
No, I don't think so at all.
Or do you think they really looked at defense and just took the kicker?
I think they looked at the defense and just said, whatever.
Yeah.
So some of those kicker and defense prices were worth the money. Dallas and Baltimore. They got the $8 and more. Those are probably worth it. Some of the others not so much.
Right.
You paid $4 for their defense, and their kicker was not worth another $4.
Yeah.
Sorry, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll maybe revisit that rule change after this season?
I have a feeling we will, yes.
Yeah.
But I also like John's idea of possibly just spending, and then had a little free agency at the end there. I think that might be kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Draft day. It was interesting this year. There was twice that somebody brought somebody up for a number, and then there were no other bids this year. That happened twice.
It did happen
in
twice.
This draft.
Yep, crickets.
And not outrageous numbers.
No.
The one was $5, and he probably would have gotten there.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was no other bids.
Was that early or late in the draft?
No, that was right in the middle to the second
Middle-ish?
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that surprised me was for us for this year for this league with that super flex position, how many extra quarterbacks were drafted?
Yeah.
That surprised me a little
There
bit.
were a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but those was just
All
draft
right.
day stuff.
It was an interesting draft.
Okay.
But
As
always
always.
fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Best day of the year.
All right. I'm going to move you into Your thoughts and analysis, division by division.
Sounds like a plan.
Starting with the North Division.
All right. Well, which team should we start with then? I guess
I
team
will-
number one. That's
I will
Kevin,
leave it up
our
to you.
defending champion. And let's just take a look at his roster there. So as you can see, his quarterback situation, you got Jaden Daniels is a rookie. Man, I like him a lot. I think he's going to be putting up some good numbers for Washington.
Yeah, agreed. But he's still a rookie. And,
Yeah.
And so for Kevin, he's got to hope one of these guys really steps up.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think Daniels has a much better chance of that than Bryce Young.
Although Bryce Young, I think, looks a lot better this year than he did last year.
New coach, right?
Yep. Now, Kevin's running backs, man, I'm just not sold on them. I'm sorry. Zamir White and Chase Brown, Kamara, and McLaughlin from Denver, you know, they're all question marks there. Is Kamara getting too old to be really a full-time running back that's catching passes out of the backfield? I don't know. Chase Brown, is he going to take that job with Cincinnati, or is it going to be Zach Moss? Zamir White, okay, are the Raiders going to give up on him a few weeks into the year because he's not doing anything, or will he bust out? I don't know. Those are big questions. Now, I do like Jonathan Brooks from Carolina, though, because once he is fully healthy from his ACL injury last year, he's going to take that number one job from Carolina away from Chuba Hubbard or whoever else is going there, and I like him. I like him a lot. I'm disappointed I didn't get him and Kevin did because I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I think he's got a good future ahead of him. I just don't know how soon he's going to be back from the ACL.
Yeah, exactly. Now, on the other hand, Kevin's wide receivers, probably one of the best group in the whole league. I mean, if you look at this here, you got Amon-Ra, okay, that's stud. Drake London. Now that he has a good quarterback throwing him the ball,
Who knows what might happen?
Chris Godwin, well, they moved him back to the slot this season, so he should be able to get a lot more catches, more than last year. He didn't get a lot of looks when he was playing on the outside last year. You know, and Philly's defense, I think, is a good pick there as well. I'm going to play them over Jacksonville most time. When I ran my simulations, you know, this is the fun thing. Kevin's projected starting lineup was number 1 in the league. Now that's based on accrued points.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
It's supposed to be what they're supposed to get. And he was the 4th best overall roster. Out of the 100 simulations, his team won 27 division titles. Made the playoffs. Division titles.
Okay.
And he made the playoffs 50 times. So half the time, made the playoffs. And he won 5 titles. Now, again, you run those simulations with these rosters and no changes, which doesn't happen. But it's still interesting to look at.
Interesting to look.
But I like Kevin's team. I
Okay.
do like Kevin's team.
All right. Anything else on the North Division?
Oh, yeah, that's only one team.
Okay.
Let's put up Rob and Ed's roster now, huh? Let's take a look at Rob and Ed's roster here. And John, go ahead. You take the lead on this one.
Well, you know what? I like C.J. Stroud. I thought that was a great save for him. For $2, it was great.
Yeah.
But I like between Walker and Pacheco. I think that's for this division. It's probably one of the better running back groups for him.
Totally agree for this
in
division.
that division.
Yep.
Yep. You know, and Najee Harris is going to be the workhorse for a little while.
Yep.
So, you know, I liked his running back, and Marshawn Lloyd is going to get some time in Green Bay because Dylan's out for the year.
Yeah, they put Dylan on the IR, and okay, so Lloyd's going to be the guy. Green
Yeah.
Bay's got some other guy, I can't think of his name, but, you know, he's not that great. Emmanuel Wilson, I think it is.
Yeah, but his, you know, between Mike Evans and A.J. Brown, great. He's got the 2 guys from Tennessee at wide receiver. We'll see. I mean, they've got the young guy there that's going to be throwing the ball, and so
And I
he's
like
got
Will
it.
Levis. I like Will Levis a lot.
And we'll see how he does throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But Calvin Ridley did a great job in Jacksonville, so hopefully he brings some of that. And who knows what Deontay Johnson will bring coming from Pittsburgh. Will bring into Tennessee.
Well, I think Deontay Johnson flourishes in those mid-range passes right across the middle, and I think that's what they'll throw to him an awful lot. He should return back to his good Pittsburgh Steelers receiving numbers that he put up there.
All in all, I thought Rob and Ed really had a great draft. When we left that day and I looked over this roster, I thought, man, Ed did a great job.
16 division titles on the simulation, 41 playoffs, and 6 league titles. Of course, the statistical analytics put their roster at number 13 starting lineup and number 11 overall. So,
wow.
So I know, right? So the simulations are all over the place on them. So who knows what's going to happen?
Okay.
Yep. Moving on.
Moving on
We'll
to Justin.
go to Justin next. The simulation gave him the number 4 starting lineup projected and number 3 overall roster. Kyler Murray, I like for $1, but what are we going to get out of him? I don't know. We're going to see. His running backs, Montgomery, Moss, Swift, they all have question marks, but they all could be leaders too, for all we know. But his receivers are going to lead them the way.
Oh yeah,
Easily. Pittman, Jefferson, Diggs, and Lockett, easily going to lead his team to any positivity they're going to have this season. I really think by the end of the year, he's going to end up playing Kirk Cousins at quarterback ahead of Kyler Murray by the end of the season.
yeah. If Cousins stays healthy, I could see that happen.
And watch out for Ray Davis from Buffalo. I know I threw up $350 for him at the end of the draft just to blow Justin's money there. He gave me free will to spend his money there, and I just blew it out there. But he's going to be the number 1 running back by the end of the year in Buffalo, I think.
Wow, you think he's going to?
I do.
Wow, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the Baltimore. He got the Baltimore defense, so they're always good.
Yeah.
They just never worry.
Nothing to worry about there.
They just put him in and just forget about it.
Right. All right. How about Mike Quinn? John, go ahead.
All right, Quinn. His wide receivers are probably the best. To me, are probably the best combination in the division.
I would agree.
Tariq Hill, Olave, Laporta, Ingram. That's a great combination of wide receivers. And he's got Lamar Jackson. If he's going to score his touchdowns, he's going to throw a few. He's going to run for quite a few. I don't know if he'll give the ball up more to Derrick Henry in the red zone this year compared to what he's done in the past. I don't know. Running back wise, Raheem Mostert, it's going to depend on how much he swaps time with Achane.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. But Jonathan Taylor is going to be the guy in Indy. And then, but then you got Ty Chandler, who's a backup guy.
Yep.
Same with Roshan Johnson. He's a backup guy. Zach Charbonneau. So as long as he doesn't have to use one of those guys in a flex position in any given week, he could be pretty good.
Yeah. I'm noticing a recurring theme in this whole division, this whole North Division. Their receiving teams are all good. All 5 teams.
Yep.
Spoiler alert on Mike and Mike there. Quinn, analytics said number 8 starting line, number 10 overall. In 100 sims, they won 32 division titles. And 64 times they made the playoffs. So that's pretty good.
Wow.
And he won 20 titles. So
Yeah.
things look good for Quinn right now. We'll see what happens.
It's still early.
We'll see what happens. Hey, we got one more here in this
All right,
division.
Michael and Mike.
Mike and Mike. Well, quarterback, you got Dak Prescott. I mean, he's wanting to get his contract extension now, so you got to think he's going to play, balls to the wall and really play. He played great last year, except for the playoffs. And I got to think that he's going to do the same thing this year. Now, Mike and Mike's running backs, Javonte and Ezekiel and Jalen Warren. I'm not sure I know much about this Carson Steele. He's a backup apparently for Kansas City.
He is.
Okay, but I mean, their running backs on Mike and Mike's team, they're a little iffy right now. Probably the worst in the division. But again, the receivers are outstanding. Kittle and Kelsey, and then Debo and Kupp, assuming they stay healthy. Well, Mike and Mike have a good chance of winning things too. They're number 5 starting lineup, but their overall roster is number 13. Now, some of that's because the running back situation brought them way down, plus Las Vegas on there for the kicker defense. But in the simulation, they won 14 division titles, and they made the playoffs 38 times and won 4 KFFL titles. So this whole North Division is really tough.
Yeah, they're all pretty even, quality stacked wise.
Yeah.
Although I wrote down here, I think it comes down to Mike Quinn or Robinette.
Yeah. We'll do some predictions about the division at the end, later on in the show. We'll do
our
some
final segment,
at the end of the show.
All right.
Yeah, you bet. All right, I figured this is a good spot. We'll take a moment. We'll be right back with the Central Division.
Hello, Jerry. Yeah. No, I'm just here in Wisconsin. Okay, right now? Okay, well, you're gonna have to go to the CBS website. Okay. And do you have your login information? Okay, okay, so you, okay, why don't you go get it? I'll wait.
right, welcome back. It's time for the Central Division breakdown.
My division. I better be quiet.
Fat chance.
I know, right? Well, let's start with Greg right off the bat. Go ahead, John.
You know what, Greg? He took Jalen Hurts. He spent some money. I think it's a great buy. I think Jalen's one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league this year.
Yeah.
But his running backs are so strong.
Oh,
He's
gosh, yes.
Between McCaffrey and Barkley. Devin Singletary's a little iffy.
He's going to be the starter.
But he's going to be the starter in New York, and so that's going to happen. He has Elijah Mitchell. Who has to replace. He got hurt.
Yeah,
he got cut.
Yep.
Got hurt. Got cut. One of the others. So he's out. And then you get to the wide receivers. He saved Puka at a great price. How do you not save him for $1?
Yeah.
A great choice. Jordan Addison. I stayed away from the Vikings.
I noticed that
because I have no faith in Sam Darnold. I just don't. And so who knows what he'll do. Brock Bowers, I think, could have a big year in Las Vegas.
I'm just concerned about that because they already had that Meyer guy, Michael Meyer, whatever his name is. So are they going to split that, or are they going to give Bowers the ball more?
Right.
But I don't know.
So, but he's going to have to lean on his running backs. If he's going to make a run, his running backs have to pull him through.
I would agree with you. I like this Roma Dunze from Chicago. I know, I'm liking the Bear. But it looks like the real deal for a receiver.
Yeah, and he's going to be the third guy there.
Yeah,
after
I know.
Keenan Allen and
DJ Moore.
You know.
Yep.
So.
But Greg's roster was number 3 for the starting lineup and number 5 overall.
Okay.
And in the Sim, they won 8 division titles. And they made the playoffs 71 times. So, Greg, I think it's pretty safe to say you're probably making the playoffs, assuming you stay healthy. And he won 9 titles out of those 100 simulations. Greg's looking pretty good.
When you look at the money he spent between his running backs and his quarterback,
Yeah.
He spent his money.
He spent his money, and then he sat for a few hours, and then he still managed to leave $7.25 on the table. I'm not sure I understand how that went, but but towards the end, nobody's bidding on you. You throw a guy out for a quarter, nobody bids by the end. So what can you do? But it always makes me wonder. Going back to your draft day questions about this year we didn't have many people that left money on the table. Not a lot of money. Last year we had 4 or 5 teams that had at least $10 left on the table. This year, not that many.
No.
And that was good to see.
Okay.
People spending their money.
All right. Moving on.
Steve and Matt, I've got them as the top team in the league. All the simulations show it. They're the number 2 starting lineup projected, number 1 overall roster. And in the simulation, they won 41 titles. They made the playoffs 88 times. And they won 26 KFFL titles. So things are looking good for this roster. Sean Watson for $2.25. Now, get rid of his morality issues, getting massages or whatever it is, for $2.25, assuming he's back to normal at quarterback. That's a steal and should do just great for Cleveland, get them back in the playoffs, I would think.
Well, with Amari Cooper there and Judy there, and Njoku there, he could, if like you said, if he gets rid of all the outside noise, he could have a great year.
And Daniel Jones is a backup. Just in case, who knows? The Giants are new this year. But then you got his running backs. You got Etienne and Jacobs. Okay, that's a great 1-2 punch. Dobbins, I'm not sure what you're going to get out of him. But then he signed Chubb for 75 cents just on the chance that he'll come back. And I think he's going to be back by October. I don't know what we're going to get out of Nick Chubb coming off that really gruesome injury, but I still really haven't seen it.
No.
We were at Scott's that night, and I never saw the replay, and I never have.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, right? I know.
We've seen enough of those.
Yeah. But then Steve spent the money on his receivers. And that is his club. CeeDee Lamb is franchise player, but then he spent big on Marvin Harrison Jr. and Devontae Adams, and then he even got George Pickens in there.
At a great price.
At a great price. So his receivers and running backs are going to lead the way, and if Watson puts up a halfway decent season, it looks really good. You get Cleveland's defense there too, which looks really good.
Yeah.
Steve and Matt is the team to beat for me right now. Now, maybe that's what I'm saying right now. My predictions might say otherwise later on. We'll see. I don't want to give you all the answers right now. All right.
Next. BJ and Scott.
BJ Scott. For them, if we were a futures team and they got to keep guys for a long time, this team would be the team to have.
Yeah, I would agree.
Joe Burrow, if he can stay healthy, will be fine. Achane, we talked about. How much time does he split with Monster?
Yep.
Aaron Jones is going to be in a new place in Minnesota. They're going to have to rely on him. Out of the backfield, Darnold's going to have to get rid of the ball pretty quick, so that'll be okay. Pollard splitting time. Then you look at the wide receivers and other people that he's got here. For him, with Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, we talked about future, Caleb Williams.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And then you also have Christian Watson, who's going to be good for quite a few years yet. Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey. There's a couple of rookies.
Yeah.
Who there's been a lot of great things said about them.
The only thing about those 4 receivers that I worry about with BJ and Scott's roster is their health.
Yes.
Because all 4 of them have had health issues in the NFL or college.
Yep.
And so you got to wonder. I hope they're going to be fine, but you never know.
Yep.
I really like this Trey Benson from Arizona as a running back. I really do.
So, and he and I actually talked about not bringing him up too quick as a backup, because, and we talked about it during the break.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, about 4 people later after the break, they bring up Trey Benson.
Now, was that because he didn't want to call him up because he's a Cardinal and get into a bidding war?
Yeah, we didn't want him to go too high.
Okay.
As a backup guy.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, but all in all, like I said, when you look at futures, these are guys. I think his save guys, he's going to have great options.
Oh, he's going to have really good choices. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 11 projected starting lineup. Number 6 overall roster though, which is interesting. Won 19 division titles, made the playoffs 48 times, so that's half the time, and managed to win four KFFL titles out of those sims. So there you go. All right.
That brings us to your team.
I
know it's your turn to start.
No, it's not. I'll sit out.
We're going to let John start with this one.
Well, you pulled off the first trade of the year, and got Jordan Love. Although we know you like to stay away from the Packers.
That's because somebody tells me to.
I like that he stays
too
away.
Emotionally attached to them. But if he can repeat what he did the second half of last year, he'll have a great year.
Yeah.
Jamar Gibbs, we know, is a great steal. Bijan Robinson's going to be the man, in the world of running backs. You got a couple of backups, and Jalen Wright, who's going to be number 3 on that depth chart.
I really like him, too. I really like Jalen Wright.
And Jermaine Burton, who knows in Cincinnati what the heck's going to happen?
Well, if Jamar Chase doesn't sign, the kid's going to have to play.
Right. And then Rashee Rice, as long as he can stay out of legal trouble and avoid an NFL suspension for all that stuff. But we already know Jamar Chase, hopefully he's playing right. Mark Andrews, you got for a steal at $1.75. He's going to catch a ton of balls in Baltimore. He always does. Jamison Williams, we're still waiting for him to reach his potential.
I think this is the year he breaks out.
And we got to hope so.
I really hope so.
So, and then you went cheap on your defense.
Well, that's what I always do.
But you always do that. And so, I think you're strong here. I don't think I'd be worried if I were you. I think you're in good shape as long as people stay healthy and if they can reach what the predictions say they're going to reach. I think you're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, I liked picking up Love. I know I still have some questions of myself. Should I have made that trade? Because when I had Lawrence and I had Malik Neighbors on my roster, I had my quarterback, my 2 running backs, my 3 receivers, a great looking core. Mm-hmm. And then I blew it up to get Love, and I'm like, did I make the right choice? I don't know. We haven't had a trade at the draft like forever, though.
Right.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Hopefully Romeo Doubs does okay this year.
He's probably good for 6 to 10 touchdowns. Just will I have him in the lineup?
Right. Right is trying to make that decision.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, analytics did not like my team, which is interesting.
Really?
Number 9 projected starting lineup and number 12 overall roster. I found that very surprising.
Wow.
But the simulation still gave me 32 division titles, and I made the playoffs 61 times, and I won 10 titles overall somehow. So the simulations were all over the map.
Okay.
Which I found very interesting.
Here's hoping it's not a horrible season, because it will be horrible in this house. Just saying.
You would be right.
Just saying. All right, gentlemen, that takes care of the Central Division. We'll take another short break and come back and talk about the South.
IBM presents You Make the Call.
Coming off a season with a stacked roster, Greg has a lot of good players to choose from for his franchise player. Maybe it will be Tyreek Hill. Or maybe Greg goes with the young receiver from the Rams, Puka Nacua. Or perhaps he will go once again with running back Christian McCaffrey. Which top player does he keep? You make the call.
In redefining the laser printer, IBM made it 33% smaller, with 60% fewer parts than the old standard. Could that be the reason it's also 25% faster? The IBM laser printer, suddenly nothing else measures up.
What call did you make? Most people know Greg pretty well, and if you said he keeps the Raiders' defense, you made the right call.
All right, we've talked about the North, we've talked about the Central, that leaves the South.
Really? You don't say.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's talk about Mr. South himself, Steve Solano, as he drove all the way from SoCal just to come see us again, which I was very happy to see.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the best part of Steve's roster, I think, is his receivers. You know, he's got DK Metcalf and Brandon Ayuk, who finally signed now.
Yes, he did.
So that's good. And Zay Flowers, I really like, too. Plus, DeAndre Hopkins can throw some stuff out there, too. And his running backs of Breece Hall and Joe Mixon, I think Joe Mixon's going to blow it up in Houston. I think he's really going to finally break out. I think he felt like he was held back all the time in Cincinnati, except for maybe 1 year when he really did well. I think he's really going to have a good year with Houston. But he kept Jared Goff as his quarterback franchise player, which in and of itself was fine, but I thought $7.25 for him was he probably could have got that much or less at the auction itself.
See, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, well, that's okay. You might disagree.
Yeah.
But I really like Will Levis, and I think he's going to end up being Steve's starter most of the year anyways. I really think. I think Levis is poised for a breakout season in his second year with the Titans. Miami's defense and Houston's defense, well, that's a tough decision every week for him, so yeah. I'm not sure what he's going to do there. But otherwise, you know, Steve's roster overall is number 2 overall roster according to the analytics.
Wow.
But the starting lineup is number 10. So I'm not sure how that works out. And I really like Tajay Spears, by the way, because I think he's going to be the lead guy by the end of the season. He's got Pollard in there right now, but I think by the end of the season he's going to be number 1.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but in the simulations, Steve won 18 division titles and made the playoffs 33 times, so a third of the time. That's not too bad. And even squeaked out two KFFL titles somehow.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a simulation. You don't know what's going to happen. No. Oh, I guess I got to go again next because John's up.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
we're up
I
to-
should have had John go first.
We're up to John.
That's right. Let's talk about John's great roster here.
I
No,
hope
actually,
it's great.
I thought you did great with Anthony Richardson as your franchise quarterback right there, and Derek Carr is a backup for $1 just in case something happens. That's a great buy. I mean, Carr's still going to be able to air it out, and we already talked about how Olave is probably going to have a good year, and Kamara and some of those other guys. So it's a great backup in case something happens to Richardson. I hope it doesn't, because I think Richardson's the real deal. I really wanted him last year and didn't get him, and I know a lot of guys did, and he really plays really well. I just hope he can stay healthy, pull back on some of those hard hits, and not take them so much. John, your running backs, though, are fantastic. You got Connor and Rashad White and Stevenson from New England. Stevenson is poised for a comeback year after being hurt a lot of it last year. White, he's still going to catch his passes, and he's still going to get his a slow accumulation of yards. He's not going to be the guy that's going to put up 100 yards a game. He's not going to score 3 scores a game, but he's going to put your 20 and 25 fantasy points every week, which what else can you ask for, right? And John, your receivers are fantastic. Also, probably the best in your division, I think. I have your receivers as probably the best in the division. Garrett Wilson, assuming Aaron Rodgers stays healthy for the Jets. I know he'll probably blow out his Achilles in the second game this year again. But assuming he stays healthy, Garrett Wilson should be fantastic this year. I mean, we've already seen him do pretty good with his so-so quarterbacks. And so I think he's really going to do well with Rodgers, throwing the ball.
You're so nice calling him so-so quarterback.
I know, right? Nico Collins from Houston, that guy is going to be good. I mean, last year his numbers were good. I think this year's going to be really good. I think he'll stay as number 1 receiver, even with Stephon Diggs there now. I think he's fine. DJ Moore, same thing. I mean, he and Keenan Allen are going to be fighting over all the catches from Caleb Williams most of the time, and Moore's got the wheels to still get to the end zone. I think he's the man there. Jaden Reed, don't sleep on that guy. 6 to 10 touchdowns. Like I said, though, you got to make a guess of when he's going to score those. You don't know. And Cortland Sutton, you stole for 75 cents. I thought that was a great buy because it's number 1 guy in Denver. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I'm not sure about your David Njoku. I know you said something about him before, but you got him for a quarter. Who knows? He's the number 1 tight end for Cleveland, so we'll see what happens there. And obviously, you're never going to play Arizona's defense.
Yeah, no.
I
Never
highly
say never.
highly think you're going to play Cincinnati and whatever his name is. McPherson. Thank you for Cincinnati's kicker there every week. So now, analytically, you're right in the middle, John. Your starting lineup, number 7, and your overall roster, number 8. But I have you winning 24 division titles. And you made the playoffs half the time, 48 times, and somehow you won 5 KFFL championships with this roster in our simulations.
Okay.
We'll
wait and see.
The hard part
See
would
what
be picking the right wide receiver every week.
right.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Sounds like it's raining.
Moving on to John and Roland.
All right, John, go ahead.
All right, John and Roland. We all like Josh Allen, of course, and they took the flyer on Aaron Rodgers lasting more than a series this year.
Well, they only had him for 2 plays last year on the roster before they had cut him. They wanted to go back to that well.
I'll be interested to see if Kyren Williams thought it was a great save for them. We'll see if he can repeat what he did last year. Jerome Ford, we'll see how long before if Chubb comes back. If not, he's going to be a great buy for them.
At least a month, I think he's going to
Yeah.
play.
And Brian Robinson, we'll see if he's going to spread time with Austin Eckler. We'll see how that
Yeah,
split goes.
I don't know how that's going to
No,
go.
I don't either. But his wide receivers, Tank Dell, he's going to be back and healthy again. So he was having a great year. Jalen Waddle's a great buy for them. McLaurin, if we can get Jaden Daniels to do what we think he's going to do, then Terry McLaurin could have a great year.
Yeah.
For them, I like them. Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid's going to catch a lot of balls in Buffalo. Keon Coleman, he's a rookie. We'll see how that goes. I like the Blake Corum backup buy for them.
Yeah.
Because who knows what he'll do out there in L.A. After coming from Michigan. So, and their Dallas defense. This is one of those good defense kicker combinations.
Yeah. Worth the
somebody bought.
$8.25.
And worth the 8 1/4. So
Yep.
all in all, I see him as a Midland type team.
Yep.
To be honest with you, but all in all, they did nice.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I mean, Kyren Williams, they said that he's going to return some punts this year too. And the coach said they're doing because they want him to have his hands on the ball because he can do things. So they're going to give him more chances to have touches. Well, by returning punts, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but we'll see. But then, they got Blake Corum too, so, if something happens, I think, then they got at least insurance. Waddle, I think he's going to break out this year. They can't keep throwing to Tyreek Hill every dang play for scores.
Well,
Somebody else has.
They can, but
Yeah,
they
but
probably
they shouldn't. And McLaurin worries me because now that they traded that guy to Philadelphia who's stunk it up the last couple, who else do they have?
Yeah,
Throw
after
to.
Dotson. Yeah, they traded Dotson
Yeah,
away.
thank you. Who else are they going to throw to? I mean, I'm worried that he's just going to get double teamed all day. But he's still got the wheels out run a lot of guys, so who knows. John Rollins starting line number 12 and overall roster number 7. 29 division titles, 51 playoffs, and 5 titles in the simulation. So, again, a lot of these simulations are just all over the place.
Yeah. That's the nature of
I know.
numbers.
Yep.
All right, next up, Damon and Brooke.
Boy, I probably shouldn't answer this one. Go ahead, John.
All right. First of all, we need Damon to speak louder when he's bidding
Okay.
at the draft.
I would agree with you there.
So quiet. Half the time I didn't know he was bidding. All of a sudden there was a commotion in his direction.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Kevin, too, sometimes.
I was
but-
amazed he spent $30 on Patrick Mahomes. I was surprised Patrick Mahomes went for $30 all in all, but I was surprised it was Damon that bought him.
He was the most expensive player in our auction.
Yeah.
$30.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got a couple of interesting numbers on that part later.
All right.
But he got a great backup in Brock Purdy. He went quarterback heavy. He can't play them both every week, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But then the running backs, James Cook's going to start. But then he's got backups in Antonio Gibson and Braylon Allen. He's got backups there. Kyle Pitts, he saved. Devontae Smith was a great choice.
Sure.
Amari Cooper was a great choice. Christian Kirk will be the number one guy in Jacksonville. So good wide receivers here. He got picked up Gainwell late. We'll see how much he carries the ball in Philadelphia after Saquon Barkley gets his touches.
Mm-hmm.
So and then the Atlanta and Rams on the defensive side. I don't know. I think he's got some work to do.
He's got some work to do. His running backs after Cook, man, that's a big question mark. I mean,
Yeah, who do you play?
And the fact that he spent almost half of his budget on his two quarterbacks just blew my mind. I'm sitting there after he signs Purdy, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But everybody's strategy is their strategy, and he decided to make sure he had two good quarterbacks. So whatever.
I've got when we get to the predictions part,
Sure.
I have something on that also.
Okay,
so.
but Damon's receivers, I love Kirk. I mean, I wanted Kirk. He was my number one guy that I wished I'd spend another dollar on and didn't. I mean, his receivers are good. Cooper's going to break out. Smith is going to have a better year than A.J. Brown, I think.
Really?
I do think so.
Wow.
Because he's in a contract year.
Okay.
And his rookie deal's up, and he wants to get the big money. I have a
Big
feeling.
motivation, yeah.
Yep, I have a feeling. Right in the middle for Damon on the analytics, number 6 starting lineup.
Okay.
Helped with quarterback and helped
Yeah.
with those receivers. But number 9 overall lineup, won 16 division titles, made the playoffs 29 times, and did win 1 title in the simulations.
All right.
I think those running backs are just going to kill him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And last but certainly not least, Jerry.
Well, Jerry says he loves his roster. He says this every year.
Yeah.
And by week 3, he's done with football.
Yeah.
But I think his team is not that bad, I'll be honest. Tua and Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, great choices. Either one could play every week, I think. Derrick Henry, great running back. Assuming he still has stuff in the tank. Moving over to Baltimore. And I don't know what Baltimore's offense is going to be like, how much they're going to depend on him. Tennessee depended on him just about every down, it seemed like. I don't know if Baltimore will do the same.
And I'll be interested to see how many times in that backfield between Henry and Lamar in goal line situations, who's getting that touch?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Because I could see them fighting in the huddle just about who gets getting the ball.
Yeah.
Yep. But then Jerry's other running backs, Chuba Hubbard, I think is going to be out of there by October. Gus Edwards, I don't know what he's going to do with the Chargers because I think he's going to get more than just goal line carries there, but he's never been good without getting goal line carries. That's all he's been good at. When he was playing with Baltimore, you put him at midfield and he didn't do anything. So
And
I don't
it's
know.
amazing to me. For the Chargers, they have him and they have J.K. Dobbins. They took both those guys out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen there.
and then Jerry's got this Kimini Vidal guy from the Chargers too.
Yeah.
Third stringer guy. That screamed to me of Jerry just bidding on him so he could be done.
Trying to find a name that hasn't been brought up. Right?
But his receivers, Trey McBride for $1 can't go wrong there. You got Malik Neighbors for me, who I think is going to be like OBJ. He's going to be just phenomenal. And I keep reading about all these coaches that love Brian Thomas from Jacksonville. Even opposing coaches say this guy's going to be the real deal. So I can see that. Now, Jerry has an infatuation with T. Higgins, and he always brings him up. I don't think he's that good of a player, but but it's a good buy if Jamar Chase doesn't play ball for a while.
Right.
Kansas City and Pittsburgh on defense, who knows. Don't sleep on Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I
think he might be number 1 receiver by the end of the season with Buffalo. Although Keon Coleman could be right there too.
Yeah.
It could be 1, 2.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Jerry, the analytics did not like your team. Number 14 and number 14 for starting lineup and overall roster. Yep, it just didn't. Only 13 division titles, 24 times made the playoffs. Both of them were the lowest of the simulations, and he didn't win any titles in any of the simulations. But what can you do? His team isn't bad. It's got glimmers of hope there.
We have seen stranger things
Yes,
happen.
we have.
Yes, we
Yes, we
have.
have.
All right, well, that takes care of our 3 divisions. We'll be right back with something a little bit different before we get to our final predictions.
Tom Emanski, the premier baseball instructor, has added another selection to his award-winning baseball instructional video series, Tom Emanski's Benchwarming Fundamentals. Tom has taught countless baseball players these skills, which have produced back-to-back-to-back AAU champions. Sitting on a wooden bench, aluminum bench, or even on the ground, Tom Emanski shows you how to be a better bench warmer. Seed spitting, keeping score, chatting with the female trainers. It's all here. Only $19.95 for each video ordered, and comes with a guaranteed result or your money back. Call 1-800-TOM-EMAN. That's 1-800-836-3626. Order today.
It's 4th and short. Decision time. Something we're calling punt or go for it. I'm going to read a statement. If you agree with the statement, it's a go for it. If you disagree, it's time to punt.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, Dan, we'll have you go first on
All
the
right.
first statement. And these first couple are from the NFL in general, and then I'll go
Oh,
more specific.
sure.
Okay? Statement number 1. Puka Nacua will have another great year.
I'm going to say go for it. I think, I don't think he's going to be having as good a year as last year because he's going to have Cooper Kupp with him healthy the entire season. Well, in theory. But he's still going to be a solid number 2 receiver. He'll still put up his points and yardage. Yeah.
Okay? John?
No, agreed. Go for it. I think he's going to be the number 1 guy there, but I still don't think his numbers match last year.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay. Next statement. A 2024 draft pick will take his team to the playoffs. There's been a lot of discussion about this year's draft. Punt or go for it. 2024 draft pick will take his team to the playoffs.
I'm going to punt.
Okay.
I just don't, where those rookies are that could do that. Caleb Williams, I think Chicago's going to be better, but not a playoff team. Washington was so bad they don't get to the playoffs. Jaden Daniels will be fine, but they're not getting there. Marvin Harrison Jr., Arizona, I don't think, within that division, I just don't see a playoff team there. So I'm going to punt.
Okay. I'm going to go for it. And Jenelle can kick me out of the house. I think the Bears sneak in as a wild card team. Sneak in. I think they'll get wiped out in that first game. But I think Caleb Williams and the hype and with the good receivers, and they're going to eventually finding running back in out of that whole mix of guys they've got. They're going to find somebody, and they're going to sneak in. It might be a 9-8 record or an 8-9 record even, but I can see them sneak in.
Okay.
So that's the only one. I don't see the Giants. I don't see the Cardinals. The same teams you said. Rams, if you count Blake Corum in this, but I'm not.
But he's not going to lead them.
No. So.
All right. Time for my final NFL statement, and I'm going to, before I give you the statement, I did see online yesterday, apparently Taylor Swift is coming up with plays, and the Kansas City Chiefs are thinking about using one of them. Just throwing that in there. My final NFL statement, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will be engaged by season's end. Punt or go for it?
I'm going to punt on that one. She's making plays? I didn't even see
saw
that.
that
Did you see
yesterday.
this?
I saw that.
I did not see
I did
this.
not
No,
see
I'm
that
going to
either.
punt on that. I maybe in the off season or next off season, but I don't see that happening. But
Okay. John?
I'm going to punt in the who cares category.
right on.
there with you.
Right on. There you go.
All right. Now for some statements about specifically the KFFL.
All right.
$30 is too much for Patrick Mahomes. Now I know you guys kind of hinted at that in your breakdown. Punt or go for it?
I'm going to go for it. I'm not sure anybody's worth $30, but I'm a cheapskate. So, and he does great things, and his numbers are always good, and he leads the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Is he a $30 player? I don't think so.
I'm going to punt also. Last year, he just didn't put up huge numbers. He put in adequate, above average numbers, but for Patrick Mahomes, what we've been used to for his first 6 years of his career, they weren't even close to what he was putting up. So, yeah, I'm going to punt to $30. That's a lot for a quarterback. I know a bunch of our other quarterbacks went for high 20s also. It's like, in fantasy football, to me, quarterbacks should never be that high. but I know our guys do their own thing, and whatever.
Yeah.
That's just my theory. Doesn't mean it's right.
All right.
Yes, it is.
This season's champ will be a first-time champ.
I'm going to go for it. I think analytics say Steve and Matt or Greg are right in there. Quinn's won a title, though, so I can't really count them, but I'm going to say go for it. I think it's going to happen.
I'm punting. One of my predictions is we get a repeat winner.
Oh, okay.
All right. If there isn't a first-time champ, Kevin will three-peat.
You don't want to blow whatever you want to say.
Well,
I-
I'll punt.
if you want to.
No. But I'm going to punt. I don't think his roster's in the right spot yet.
Yes.
But he does a great job with free agency.
Every year.
And so it can come.
Yeah.
But as of today, punt.
Yeah. I'm going to punt, too.
Okay.
I just don't see it happening.
All right.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to win. Says the guy who's won 5 and 5 and Kevin's won 5 and John Rolls won 5.
All right, 2 more statements. Jerry will retake the toilet bowl crown.
I'll say go for it. Why not? I think Jerry, his roster isn't terrible. I don't care what the analytics say, but I think that he can get hot in the playoffs, and even if he's in the toilet bowl.
You did.
If?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did say the Sims weren't in his favor. Okay, John.
I'm going to punt. I just think there's too many good teams. There's going to be some good teams that get left out of our playoffs this year.
I think so too.
And so I just think there's too many good teams that for Jerry to win the toilet bowl would be extremely rare.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, our final statement, and you already alluded to this one. Dan will regret getting Jordan Love from Jerry in a draft day trade.
Well, we already know my thoughts on that, but I don't know. Go ahead, John.
No, I'm going to punt. I think Jordan Love's going to have a good year, and I think Dan, that was great for Dan. It was a great trade. Well, as much as I like Trevor Lawrence, and I think he could have a good year, I just think Jordan Love is poised to really break out even from his second half last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to punt. I'm punting if
If you disagree.
if I think he's.
If you're going to regret it.
Oh, I'm not going to regret that. That's a punt.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll punt on 3rd down on that one.
All right. Coming up, it's time for those final preseason predictions. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, I just want to thank those of you that participated in the preseason franchise player guessing contest, and we had, well, only 5 entries. I think I need to make it mandatory next year. But I'd like to announce the winner. And the winner with 20 correct guesses was John and Roland. Hey, nice job. Now, I'm not sure which one of you guys made the picks or if you guys worked on it together, but we'll get you some money at some time because nobody's paid yet. But anyways, congratulations, John and Roland. You're our winner for the franchise player contest.
All right, we're back for our final segment. It's time for those final predictions before the season gets started. Let's start with your prediction for the biggest surprise team.
Biggest surprise team. I think Justin might surprise just a little bit. His receivers and whichever quarterback he ends up going with, I think could surprise him that he makes the postseason for the first time in a very long time. He hasn't made the playoffs in like 6 years or something like that, 5 years, something like that. I could see that.
Okay, John?
I don't know, surprise team. I think Mike Quinn's going to make a big push this year. I guess he would be the surprise for me. He drafted well, and I think his team is good. The other guy that could really surprise people, I think, is Steve Solano.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I think Quinn's biggest surprise will be if he makes any moves because he hasn't made a move like in 3 seasons.
Well, he made a big one this week after the draft. He got engaged.
I saw that. He's engaged. Yeah.
So that's
Congratulations, Mike.
Way to go, buddy. That's the biggest surprise right there.
Nice job, buddy.
All right. On the other end of the spectrum, biggest disappointment.
Besides myself. I was kind of disappointed with Damon and Brooke. I think that those running backs issue is just going to kill them, at least to start. Hopefully they can get to some Monday nights and make some moves to upgrade. But for all we know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire all of a sudden, being the number one guy after a week or two because something happens. Who knows? But for right now, it surprised me that disappointed me that they spent so much money on the quarterbacks and then didn't use that money to get better running backs. I mean, they left the most on the table too, $9.25. They left the most of any team. Okay. I just thought it was disappointing to see. I thought they would have done better.
Yeah, especially considering how competitive Damon has always been.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to agree with you there.
All right. Before we get to predictions for our champs for the season, how about some divisional and playoff?
Okay, well, here's my predictions. As you see them on the screen there. In the North Division, I've got Quinn winning things, and Rob and Ed in second, with Brian, Kevin, and Justin the rest of the way. I have Quinn and Rob and Ed making the postseason right now.
No, I have the exact same two teams.
Yeah, the same two teams.
I did.
Okay, there you go. When we move to the Central, I have it's close for three teams: Dan, Greg, Steve, and Matt. Boom, boom, boom. All three, I think, are going to make the playoffs. All three. BJ and Scott are going to be maybe not a distant fourth, but in fourth.
Yep, got the same ones.
Okay, well, this is great. We're all agreeing. So far, it's good. I don't have to put more graphics up on the screen now. South Division. I have John and Roland and John, 1-2, and both of them making the postseason. With Steve S. just narrowly missing, Damon and Brooke, and then Jerry in last, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Steve Solano has a chance to win this division.
Sure, I have him just barely missing.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. Here's what I think, though, in the divisions. One of my predictions is each division is coming down to the last 2 weeks before we know who's going to win them. I think they're going to be that close.
That would be fun to see. Especially since that last week is rivalry week this year.
Yep.
So, rivalry, I can say it.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say.
And I think the other part of the divisions, I think we see more teams at 500 or better this year than we've ever had.
Yeah, none of those 2-11 teams or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that.
Right.
Now,
anything else on divisional?
I'm good. I just got my playoff predictions next.
Go ahead.
Well, okay, here's my bracket. As you can see, I've got Brian in the 8th spot. Gonna lose to Steve and Matt. I have this again. Who knows what's gonna happen? Mm-hmm. John and Roland gonna lose to Quinn, and Rob and Ed playing Greg. I think Rob and Ed might pull that off. And then John and I have you, the two of us playing each other in the first round of the playoffs. I don't want to say who wins because that might hurt. I'm gonna reveal this. No, I actually have me winning. I know. And then I have me losing to Steve, and Quinn moving on to the championship, and Steve and Matt winning the title.
I didn't go that far into my predictions on that in the playoffs, but I can see one of two things happening. Either one, there's no upsets.
Okay.
It just plays out, and the number one seed wins it all. Mm-hmm. But I could also see somebody in the bottom half winning.
Oh.
I just think the teams are that even this year. I think everybody did such a good job of really evening things out. I could see either one of those things happen.
All right. I could see that. It's wide open. It's wide open every year at this time of year, but
yeah.
All right, before we get to championship predictions, anything else?
I predict that I'll be really busy doing all these reports and videos all season long.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are watching and reading these, when I read all my emails and stuff.
John, anything else?
Yep. I think that one, by the way, first just let me say thank you for letting me be part of this Poppy Studio production.
Oh, sure.
This is great. This is a lot
of
fun.
We're high tech here.
I know. Anyway,
we spared no expense.
When I looked at free agency and what's left on the board, there's not.
No, I know. I noticed
so
that too.
I think we see a record number of trades this year.
Okay.
For the league, I see because rosters are deep. People have some trade bait if they need them. Mm-hmm. So we see a record number of trades. Already talked about. We'll get to that one at the end. I think Jerry's going to be in California before Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
I think that's going to happen, which is too bad. That's a big loss for us.
It is. I was hoping that would maybe not till New Year's, but
I know.
We'll see.
And other than that, I just think we're all going to have a great time again.
Oh, heck
It's just going to be so fun.
It's always a good time.
Yeah. And like we said, what does it always come down to? Injuries, who loses their jobs, and who gets hot at the right time at the end of the season. Which team gets hot for this league?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And injuries is number one every year.
Yeah.
All right. So based on what you're picturing for divisional champs and playoffs, Out of the teams who don't make the playoffs, who do you see winning the toilet bowl?
Well, I already punted on Jerry, so it's not him. Let's say, well, out of my non-playoff teams, I think Steve Solano is probably the best chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think whoever team number 9 is,
Yeah.
they run away with the toilet bowl.
So first team out. All right.
Yep.
And time for the final prediction. Who's taking the trophy this year?
I think it's a repeat winner. I don't know which one of us it's going to be.
Well, we already know mine. I already said I think it's going to be Steve and Matt. So go ahead, John, bring us home.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a repeat winner. There's a lot of good teams, and it's really gonna be interesting to watch it play out. Injuries, trades. Is there a surprise free agent out there that nobody knows about?
Yeah.
That all of a sudden a team uses.
There's always one that pops up after week 1 or week 2.
Right.
Yep.
But I think it's a repeat winner. I just don't know which one of it is.
Oh, you don't have a name for it?
I don't have a name for
Oh.
you. I
He's
just
narrowed
think
it
it's
down
one
to
of
what?
them.
How many repeat winners have there been?
Well, there's like a few.
A few.
Yeah.
Him, me,
Kevin,
John and Roland. That's pretty
Mike
much.
Quinn, right?
Quinn's only won once.
Yep. So, but I think
Yep.
somebody that's won it before is going to win
Okay.
again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we say goodbye, gentlemen, any final thoughts for the good of the whatever?
Oh man, it's good to see football back. Baseball's king in this house, though.
Yep.
So go Brewers.
No, man, I had a great time at the draft. We had some great discussions on things. I like the fact that we're going to have a postseason meeting to talk about changes that we might want to see. Get that out of the way early will be nice. And so, it was great. I had a great time. I look forward to the season getting started.
What'd you think of the punch board?
The punch board, I like the punch board.
No.
I didn't get the free loss that I wanted in the prediction part of the pool, but I like the punch board. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good prizes that nobody got. I was very shocked.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we're just going to bring the board out several times during the year and put in new bottles, and on Monday nights maybe, okay, you earn a punch, and give away more prizes, I think.
You buy a free agent, you get a punch. Or you make a trade.
There you go.
You get a
There
punch.
you go.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that was
fun.
great. I can't wait for the year to get started.
Yep.
Next week, Thursday.
Next week? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday, Friday. I don't know if there's Saturday.
I don't think there's any Saturday.
It's just-
Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
And then Friday, I already read that the Packer-Eagle game, they might have to cancel it because of wildfires down in Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure when their deadline they have to decide that is. I gotta assume it's got to be pretty darn quick
Pretty
here
soon
because the
of
team's got to travel and stuff. But I saw there's a chance they might cancel that game down in Brazil because of that.
And I see Philadelphia went with a black uniform so they don't wear green.
Yeah, the Packers are going with their home greens.
Are they?
They are.
Okay.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, for John and Dan, I'm Jenelle. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck this season.
Bye, guys.
See ya.